Hey everybody, it's Minius, and in the run-up to actual Mass Effect Andromeda information, we got an amusing amount of leaks. So it's pretty impressive that the recent gameplay showing at the PlayStation meeting came as a surprise. But that reveal did come with a number of confirmations, and I thought I'd go over everything leak related that was recently confirmed, and then look at some of the bigger leaks to see how accurate they've been so far. So let's start with the big Reddit leak, which has been by far the most believable and substantial leak we've got. And now, several more things from that have been confirmed for Mass Effect Andromeda. Let's start here. The leak describes the remains of a once powerful and mysterious alien race called the Remnant, whose forgotten technology holds the key to gaining power in this region of the galaxy. And, well...
another Remnant right in our way.
Watch your step, okay?
Remnant confirmed. You'll notice here how Ryder refers to the floating robots as Remnant, and the language in the leak kind of inferred that the Remnant was the name of the race that created all of this stuff and is now no longer around. Perhaps that's been tweaked a bit, or maybe the name of the species that created all this stuff is something else, and what they left behind is referred to as the Remnant. It's certainly been common in human history for people to live around ruins of vanished empires, like the Assyrian Empire or the Roman Empire, and for those people to have no clue who created that stuff, which far surpassed them technologically. The word remnant is kind of on the nose.
How fortuitous.
Merriam-Webster defines remnant as a usually small part, member, or trace remaining, or a small surviving group, often used in plural, also as an unsold or unused end of piece goods, which is less relevant, but whatever. It's very possible that these little floating beings Ryder calls remnant contain a remnant of those once powerful beings, either memories or mind transfers or something. I want to touch on an idea I've seen other people mention several times, which is that these remnant achieve synthesis, like in the Mass Effect 3 ending. Certainly these things are green, and the synthesis ending was green, but stop. I don't think that means anything. Green is kind of a more neutral color than blue or red, and it just happens to look really cool. BioWare appears to want to break away from the ending of the trilogy, and synthesis is an unnecessary and almost certainly unwanted callback to that. I'm not saying it's impossible, I'm just saying it's a bad idea. There really isn't much from the Mass Effect trilogy that has less fan approval than synthesis. Moving on, you'll notice that this gameplay sort of takes place in a technological cavern, possibly underground. The big Reddit leak talks about remnant vaults, abandoned remnant ruins you can explore to get stuff.
No question. This is the heart of the vault.
Remnant vaults confirmed. These vaults are probably much more complex than we got in the gameplay reveal, which was pretty straightforward. For instance, there's probably some exploration involved. But the point of these vaults is to locate a powerful artifact, which I guess could contain information and/or useful technology. The leak mentions rewards like powerful gear, crafting resources, and keys to larger vaults that give rare loot, narrative acclaim, and permanent stat bonuses. By the way, Mac Walters confirmed that the N7-Day concept art I'm showing here is of the same make as the vault the gameplay takes place in. The particular vault that Ryder and his friends are exploring here contains a sort of holographic star map, which brings us back to the first sentence of the big Reddit leak. The next Mass Effect game takes place in the Helius cluster, a cluster of hundreds of solar systems in the Andromeda galaxy. And, well...
Is that the Helius cluster?
Yeah, there we are.
Helius cluster confirmed. Before you get too worried about how this game takes place in only a single cluster of stars, when the original trilogy took place in an entire galaxy, hundreds of visitable systems is a lot, more than any of the previous games. It specifically says 4 times larger than Mass Effect 3 in the leak, and I guess depending on how many systems you can actually go visit would be about right. The Helius cluster is also described as thousands of light years across. 1,000 light years is, well, this distance in kilometers and miles. If you're like me, these numbers mean pretty much nothing. I'll try to represent it visually using the Milky Way galaxy as a reference. The Milky Way galaxy is about 100,000 light years across. Let's say the Helius cluster is 1,000 to 5,000 light years across. Then it would be about this big, and depending on its density, that would mean a lot of stars. stars, with hundreds of them being visitable. Now, don't try to find the Helius cluster. It is fictional, or at least isn't known by that name. Discerning stuff from the Andromeda galaxy is very difficult. I've seen estimates of its total number of stars range from 400 billion to 1.5 trillion.
I bet mine's bigger.
Basically, it's still a smudge even with really powerful telescopes, and it's difficult to tell exactly how many stars are packed in there. If you're curious about the name Helius as it's written in the leak, it's just another way to say Helios, which is the personification of the sun in Greek mythology. Helios' dad was the titan Hyperion, and some of you are familiar with this zoomed-in shot of the main Ark ship, apparently called Hyperion 1. Hyperion had 3 children in lore, Helios, Selene, and Eos, and check out the note on the plant scan. So Eos, Helios, and Hyperion, all in Mass Effect Andromeda so far. I expect we'll see the names of other Greek titans as well, maybe Olympians too. There's definitely a Greek mythology thing going on. Anyway, once these characters from our gameplay reveal get the information at the heart of the vault, it comes alive, just like in the big Reddit leak. We even see it here. Activated defense robots confirmed. If you're one of the few people out there still doubting the validity of this big Reddit leak, you need to stop. Here's some of the other stuff that's been confirmed so far. Keep in mind this leak broke in April of 2015, before most of this information popped up anywhere. Tempest, confirmed. Mako, confirmed. Multiplayer Horde mode, confirmed. Jetpack jump, confirmed. Krogan, confirmed. Hell, even Andromeda, confirmed. If you haven't checked out the big Reddit leak by now, I highly recommend that you do that. I made a video going over everything in it in intense or agonizing detail, depending on your tastes. You can check out that video or the specific text itself. Links to both of those are in the description box. Let's go over a couple more leaks and check them out again. I have to make up names for these leaks to help differentiate them. You'll notice I called the first leak I talked about the big Reddit leak. That's also a name I made up, or at least I don't know anyone else who refers to it as that. For this one, let's try the little leak, which is made up of 231 words on the BioWare forums. I've got a link to that in the description box, which will be good until October 25th when the forum shut down. As a backup, I've pasted the entirety of the leak in the comments section. Of course, there's not a lot there. The Krogan Drake Drac thing is unconfirmed. The no loading times has been talked about officially, but not properly shown off yet. We'll need to see some more gameplay to know about squad AI and overall feel, but there is one thing that sticks out now. A synthetic squad mate is mentioned, and in the Sony Stream version of the gameplay reveal, you get this voice.
The source of the system lockdown may yield more information. We appear to be close. All conduits converge here, Pathfinder.
Now the robot-like voice doesn't really confirm anything. It certainly doesn't confirm that the voice is a squad mate, and who knows, it could just be some unusually proper sounding alien, but it certainly sounds synthetic. So I guess, disembodied robot-like British voice confirmed, or whatever. That mention of a synthetic was dropped ahead of time and might be an indication that this little leak is good. The final leak that I'm going to go over, and I know there are little tiny ones everywhere and I can't do them all, but I'll call this one the AntarcticWildlife Leak because it's from the YouTube channel Antarctic Wildlife. Again, I've got a link in the description box if you want to check it out. This is the leak I'm most dubious about, although there's really nothing that proves or disproves it at this time. There were a number of things in it that weren't earth-shattering or were already known at that point. Things like you'll have 2 squad mates, or a shield that comes from your Omni tool, or destructible cover, or Mako textures, or other races looking for a new home and the like. The source mentions Vorcha collector-like aliens, and that could be from first-hand knowledge, or just from someone who saw the announced trailer.
Ah, you die now!
Those aliens are supposed to drop from Cerberus ships, which is kind of what has me doubting this leak's accuracy, because I think the idea of aliens dropping from Cerberus ships is weird and very unlike Cerberus, but that doesn't mean that it's not true. A non-N7 human soldier enemy is mentioned, and in the gameplay leak that came out after this one, you get this guy. That gameplay leak, though, is wholly unofficial, but it definitely shows a human soldier enemy. The two squad mates talked about in the Antarctic Wildlife Leak were a Krogan, which we've seen, and a blonde woman who we haven't seen, or at least haven't seen her with her helmet off. The source in this leak also says the ship was completely redesigned. And that's true if we're talking about the Hyperion, which was already shown at that point. It's probably less true if we're talking about the Tempest, which looks very much like the Normandy. The real acid test for this leak will come once we find out how you navigate from planet to planet. It was mentioned here that you actually take the helm of your ship and fly it around, which sounds really awesome, but is completely unconfirmed. As far as this Antarctic Wildlife Leak goes, I'm somewhat skeptical, but certainly don't have enough evidence to rule against it. Out of all of these leaks and all the leaks I've seen, really, the Big Reddit leak is by far the best as far as both information and accuracy is concerned, but it's going to be interesting to review these other two after we get more stuff on November 7th and 7-Day. The confirmations, though, are starting to pile up at this point. If you want to see me break down which theories have been confirmed, check out my earlier video. And if you like this video, please give it a like. It really helps out the channel. Keep an eye on MiniSGC for more Mass Effect videos. But for now...
I should go.